Ji Rashida Saiba, thank you. And let's open the floor for questioning. Please send your question in the chat or in the group. So looks like we have a question. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Alimadad Rashida Saiba. Hola, Alimadad. So we have received a question. I'm going to read this question. There are such a few books of Tawil available from IAS, from our historical hujjats and dais. How does one properly learn the historical Tawil or esoteric Ismaili understanding of the Quran? The Imam has told us to read the books of our dais, but so far, only very few books on the Tawil are available, at least in English. Are there any translations of Muhyiddin Shirazi's Majlis being worked on? Okay, so I should like to answer this question with Mola's help. You are quite right that although the work has started and the Institute has done its bit, definitely, there are some books of our dais. You should also know that some of our dais books, like Sayyidina Hassan bin Sabbah's whole concept of Talim and all his other works, they were destroyed by our enemies. Twice in history, we have had major catastrophes. In Fatimid Egypt, our books were hundreds and thousands of books, handwritten, not printed, handwritten books were burnt by these ignorant people. And the same was the case in Alamur, that when the Mongols attacked us, they destroyed our literature. But in spite of that, because the light of Imamat, as the Holy Quran tells us, cannot be blown out. In the same way, Ismaili thoughts and ideas cannot be destroyed forever. So we do have books. For instance, we have a book called Paradise of Submission by Sayyidina Nasiruddin Tusi or Mahmud Hassan. This book is printed by the Institute. It's not an easy book to read, but nevertheless, there are chapters and paragraphs there which are very, very significant. From the Institute, we have a more readable book. Perhaps it doesn't go into Tawil so much, but a readable book is the Fatimid Traditions of Learning by Heinz Hahn. Okay? Now, we have also, of course, I cannot straight away think of other books. There are books like, yes, of course, there's Pir Nasir Kisra, Shaish wa Rahaish, which was edited first and translated by Dr. Fakir Muhammad Hunzai. It's in English, they have put the title Knowledge and Liberation. And we all need your prayers because Dr. Hunzai's book, Wajuddin, which is a book of complete ta'wil, is being worked on, and inshallah it will be published soon with all your prayers. There is also the book, Pillars of Islam of Sayyidina Qazi Nauman. And this book has been edited and whatever by Dr. Punawala, Ismail Punawala. This is a collection which is, it's in 2 volumes. It is available. But one thing which we need to remember is that all these da'is wrote the Tawil according to their time. So what do we have today? According to our time. And for that, I will have to refer you to a website called www.ismaili literature, where Dr. Hunzai and myself, we have tried to translate the ta'wili, the esoteric works of Allama Nasiruddin Hunzai. These are the books where you will find the Tawil which relates to our present time. And then, of course, yes, there are other books where you will get a little bit of the Tawil. For instance, you take Professor Shafiq Virani's book, Ismailis in the Middle Ages. Of course, it is a book of history, but you know, he has translated and explained Dinan's Bidara, and all these have inner meaning. So I would recommend. You asked about whether Sayyidina Al-Muyad Fidin Shirazi's Majalis have been translated. Only 20 of them. And that work was done by the Ismaili Association of Pakistan many, many years ago. And the work was actually done by their member of staff, whose name was Professor Jawad Maskati. But only 20 of them, only 20. Whereas Sayyidina Al-Muyad has written 800 majalis or lectures. The good news is that Professor Shafiq Virani is working on them. But you know, these type of works take a long time to complete because you have to, first of all, obtain all the manuscripts which are existing, which are scattered over the world. They could be in Russia, they could be in Turkey, they could be in the British Library, in American universities. You have to gather all these manuscripts, compare them with each other, and then get a proper edition, and then you can start the translation. They are, you know, the work of a lifetime. So I would suggest that if you want a shortcut, that you go to the Ismaili literature website. There are books there in English and also in Urdu. Yes, and of course, the best source for us, as I explained right at the outset, is that our primary source is the Imam's Farmans. I hope I was able to answer this question.
Yes, you were. You did beautiful. Thank you so much. There is another question, two more. So I'll go one first. It says, we can only see Zahir and Shariat in our daily Jamaat Khana. Where and how we see and learn about Batin?
Yes, this question is how shall I put it? Jamaat Khana for me, if you know the meanings of what you are doing, is not a place of Sharia. You know, the very fact that it is Jamaat Khana, the place of the meeting of the Jamaat. Who is this Jamaat? This Jamaat is your spiritual brothers and sisters. Why? Because they are all the ones who have given the bay'ah, the oath of allegiance to the Imam of the time. So Jamaat Khana, first and foremost, is a very special place in the sense that you are with your spiritual brothers and sisters. You have a lot in common. Secondly, Jamaat Khana has come into existence from the time of the Sadruddin, we are told, but by, of course, the command of the Imam of the time. And today as well, the Imam is building Jamaat Khanas, high-profile Jamaat Khanas. So that shows that this is the Imam's pleasure. It is his happiness that there should be such places of worship, prayers for us, as well as a place of community gathering. And so the Jamaat Khana for us becomes the place where there is the light of the Imam. There is a farman of Maulana Hazir Imam that I am in every Jamaat Khana, every day, everywhere. So we who go to Jamaat Khana should be aware that I am going to a place where I can experience the nur of the Imam. You know, in the Ginans, Jamaat Khana is described as the ocean of light. We are going there to be immersed in the light. And the minute we enter the Jamaat Khana and we say, Hayyu Zinda, Hay, living, the highest title of Allah is that He is living. And Zinda is also Farsi for living. The minute we say that, we become aware that this is the house of Nur, of the living Imam that we have entered. And then all the ceremonies. You see, I think what has happened is that we have not been able to explain to the Jamaat the esoteric meanings. Yes, you know, when I was talking about meanings in language, in nature, in ourselves, in the Quran, there are meanings in our rites and ceremonies. Every one of them has meanings. But we have not had these explained to us perhaps more fully. And maybe that can be one topic for later on. How do our rites and ceremonies, which are all esoteric, how do they connect us to the meaning of our faith? I hope I've done justice to that question.
Yes, actually, you answered another question too, which is asked. So give me one moment. Let me give. There are quite a few questions have come, but you're covering more than one question at a time. So another question says, how can we incorporate batin in our daily life so we can appreciate our faith better as the Imam really want us to? So you've kind of partly answered that question.
Yes, but I can add to that. Ever since Maulana Hazrat Imam has started placing a lot of emphasis on nature, you know, when he has said many times, the purpose of education in Islam is to better understand the creation of Allah. You know, this sentence really fascinates me. We should all spend a lot of time on this sentence and try to understand what is the Imam trying to convey to us. So in everyday lives, we can be, because we are surrounded by nature. We are surrounded by society, by people of many, many diverse kinds. And you know, we can really learn a lot of things from nature. And these things then take us towards a greater, a deeper understanding of our faith. So I'm not saying that I have ready answers. This sentence from the Farman, not one, many Farmans. I am also reflecting on, I'm trying to collect material. If I have your prayers, I may even write an article about that, inshallah. But yes, this is, our dais have always used examples from nature. Since one of the questions asked was about Sayyidina Al-Muayyad Fiddin Shirazi, I should have also mentioned that my husband, Dr. Hunzai, has also done another book for the Institute called Shimmering Light, an anthology of Ismaili poetry. That also has Batini meanings in it. So if you go to that book and read what Sayyidina Al-Muayyad Fiddin Shirazi says in his prayer, in his poem he says that, of course I'm not going to recite the poem, I'm going to put it in my prose. He said that you may have absolutely perfect eyesight, but if there is no outer source of light, whether it's sunlight, moonlight, starlight, torch, candle, whatever, outside source of light, your 20/20 vision will not work in darkness. You see, this is an example from the personal world, it is an example from nature. Then how come these millions of people say that religion can work without a living light? That was his meaning there. So shimmering light is a source of Tawili knowledge in a way. These ginans are a source of Tawili knowledge. Are there any more questions?
Yes, there's one more. What is the role of intellect in following Batini Tariqa versus blind faith? Or is it a blind faith?
No, that is a misnomer. That's a contradiction. You cannot say blind faith. Faith cannot be blind. That is the Quranic message, very clear. Faith is where you have certainty, yaqeen. You know, in the Holy Quran, there are a few verses where again and again it is said that the Prophet guides you with basirat, inner eye. Basirat. Because in Arabic there is also basarat. Basarat means the outer eye, the physical eye. But basirat means the inner eye. And anybody who says that faith is blind, they are actually misrepresenting religion. Religion, and particularly an esoteric tariqah like ours, can never be blind. You only accept it with both your eyes open. You know, I think many people they misuse the words of our ginans and peers. For instance, I have personally heard from many people that they don't need to learn about religion. They are born in this faith, and they have heard that peer says in the ginan, "Bode mane shrevo." But they haven't looked up the meaning of the word Bodu man. What is Bodu? What is man in the Gujarati or Hindi dictionary? Bodu man means a pure heart. It means a heart which melts. A heart which melts in the love of the divine, of your Mola, in love of the Noor. That is the meaning of Bodu man. A pure heart. A pure heart is one which has followed the farmans of the Imam and is therefore ethically, spiritually pure. So if you remember your Mola with such a heart, you will make spiritual progress. But you know, normally in the Jamaat, this is misrepresented, which makes it very difficult, particularly for the younger generation who do not have the language of the Ginans, and then they hear this type of misrepresentation. It actually causes problems in our Jamaat. There is no such thing as blind faith, particularly in our tariqah.
Thank you. Another question is, how in this fast moving era of technology, we can practice batin in our daily practices? We recite dua with its meaning, but have not been taught much about the real essence. So apart from personal search, is there any plans by our institutions for that in form of a book?
I wanted to say right from the outset that this thing is being done on a personal level, and we can't really make pronouncements or promises or anything else on behalf of the institutions, right? The institutions are appointed by the Imam, and they have been given the work, the task to think about all these things. So I would rather not comment on the institutions. But somebody who asks me, I recite my dua, then we have to ask them, do you know the inner meaning of your dua? Do you know the concepts which are behind your dua? They have to find out themselves. So if they want to find out, there is one book which we have translated. It's called Dua, the Essence of Ibadat. And it's on the website. It may be difficult to read to begin with, but you know, esoteric means searching, making an effort, struggling. It's only when you struggle, you know from nature how a butterfly struggles to come out of the pupa. And when it struggles, then its wings become strong enough to fly. In the same way, you know the struggle of a baby, how when it leaves the womb of the mother, how it struggles to come out. So struggle, it's not for nothing that our beloved 48th Imam, Maulana Sultan Shah Salawatullahi alayhi, has said, struggle is the meaning of life. And we all struggle for our physical life. But the question is, how much do we struggle for our spiritual and intellectual life, which is the eternal part of us? So I would suggest that, learn the meanings of the dua and absorb them while you are reciting them, so that you will begin to feel more and more in tune with the divine, with the Nur. And in your everyday lives, like I said, don't ignore nature. Nowadays, what has happened is, even when you walk in the street, people's eyes are down on their tablet. They do not look at nature at all. We should look at ourselves and say, where am I going wrong? This is something so important, that we look at nature. We try to understand nature. I would like to ask, for instance, since this group is here, in this group, how many people have actually struggled, because it's a real struggle, to read and understand chapter 8 of Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah's memoirs? That is full of Batini treasures. But you have to really, really spend time on it. It is not something you can read like a chapter from a novel. So religion or religious knowledge, intellectual realities, they have to be struggled for. And each one of us should make up our minds that, if Mola has given me this gift of life, how can I progress my soul to the utmost during this limited time, this definite time of a physical lifetime? Now I'm beginning to sound like an ALWAAZ. Please excuse me, but I have been an ALWAAZ for 16 years.
SubhanAllah, and we are blessed with your knowledge, so thank you for sharing. There is another question. How does Isme Azam and Ibadat helps to give us the recognition, marifa, of our soul, the personal book of God?
Yes, I can only answer this question in a short way, whereas I think the whole subject of Baitul Khayal, meditation, ibadat, is a very, very big subject, and we should really talk about it one day. But first we have to have the preliminary things like Tawil and Tanzil of the Quran, and who has the right to do it, etc., etc. But just to give a short answer, because this question is asked, and I hope that whoever has asked it will reflect on what I'm saying, that ibadat is the only way through which you can recognize your own soul. And both the Holy Prophet and Maulana Ali have said right at the outset of this cycle of Prophet Muhammad, 1400 odd years ago, both of them said, Man arafa nafsahu fakad arafa rabbahu. He or she who recognizes his or her Lord, or her soul, they are the ones who will recognize their Lord. Now, I am going to pose a question now, and this person who asked it and the others who are listening should think about this question and maybe give an answer themselves. I'm asking you what is the affinity between one individual soul and the soul of God? That by recognizing this individual soul, you will recognize your Rabb. Have we thought about that? And do we have proof of this from Farmans, from chapter 8 of the memoirs, from the Dua, from Ginans, and from other such literature? So I've left you with a question, because it should not only be whoever leads a discussion answering questions. Sometimes the way to motivate people is to ask a question in return. So think about this hadith. He or she who recognizes his or her soul is the one who recognizes their Lord. Think about it. Think about it. And then make up your own mind and come back with some information about it. I think we are past 4 o'clock. I know we started a little bit later, but because I've already been disturbed twice in this lecture, maybe we should stop here. And the questions which were asked can be sent to me, and I will also try and prepare more answers and more references on them. Yeah?
Yeah, we'll be very grateful for your continued support. We need that. We are very thankful and grateful for enlightening lecture and answers to our questions. You made it so simple and beautiful, but full of essence and so much food for thought to reflect on and search. You have shared beautiful resources, and the group is so excited. We already have all the books you mentioned. Shared links are shared on the group, so that's wonderful. You have definitely, surely have excited the whole group to become more interested to learn and grow in their personal search. We know how busy you are. You deliver lectures daily. Dr. Saab and you are doing such a scholarly work all the time. We are truly honored and privileged that you were able to take some time out and give us this lecture on Sunday afternoon for you. Thank you so much.
No, it's a great pleasure for Dr. Hunzai and myself. We are humbled. We are humbled that Imam-e-Zaman has given us this opportunity to share what is his treasure. Because all this knowledge, it all originates from the Imam's nur. So to share it is a great, great privilege, and may Mawla never ever make us be ungrateful for this. So let us end on that note, and thank you all for listening. Your souls help the speaker to give the right answers or the appropriate answers, and inshallah we should all work together like this to understand our esoteric Batini Tariqa more and more. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you, Rishu Sahaba. Thank you, Niama Sahaba. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Inshallah, we see you all next Sunday. Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. Thanks for the wonderful speaker. Thank you.
Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.